And welcome back to the Sideline Chat podcast, the one-stop shop for rugby league. And today it is the Betfred Super League Week 8 debrief, and it's all the action to do with the Challenge Cup quarterfinals. First up, it is Hull KR at home to the Castleford Tigers.
Yeah, look, Castleford have progressed through to as well as Hull KR, but Castleford been in the Challenge Cup final last year. Has made it through to
My
the
eyes are
quarterfinals.
hanging out of my head, but even I could tell Castleford were in the final last year.
Yeah, no, but it shows that they could be Challenge Cup specialists.
It depends how we look at it, because they only did just beat Toulouse Olympique 32-6. Defense outstanding for an hour and 10 minutes, and even against the 12-man and Toulouse side, still conceded one try. So very much improved from where they were only a few weeks back, that's to say the least.
That's true. 12-man side, and to see one try, that's good. It shows that the defence has improved over the weeks that have passed, so it's good to see.
Liam Watts, for me, was a standout in that game. One try, 122 running meters, 2 tackle breaks, and an offload. But no, exceptional performance from the Castleford Tigers. Hull KR, on the other hand, also had a good win over the weekend, downing the Warrington Wolves 34-18. I gotta say, Daryl Powell needs something to change at Warrington at the moment.
If he can't change it, the club will be changing it themselves. I said it last week, I'm going to say it again, probably for the final time. If something doesn't happen in the next round of round 8, I'm going to say that Daryl Powell will be getting sacked sooner rather than later.
I don't think he's going to get sacked.
I say he'll be sacked
But
by round
I
8.
think he will be looking to stand players down, bump them back to reserve grade at this rate.
Yeah. Just touching off that, I reckon he'll be sacked by round 10.
Yeah,
That's just my view, but I could be wrong.
I'm not buying it. I don't buy Daryl Powell getting sacked straight up, even though he is on a bit of an 8-game losing run at the moment. But Hull KR, they just exposed the soft defence of the Wolves. Yeah. And their right edge defence, extreme edge defence, we're talking right on the touchline, marking up against Ryan Hall, that did not go well for them one bit.
No, it certainly didn't. And with someone like Ryan Hall's capability, you need to learn to shut him down and quickly. But Warrington did not do that whatsoever. They were
beautiful passing. Lachlan Coote, Mikey Lewis is controlling that game, even with Jordan Abdul out injured at the moment. I mean, having Coote back compensated for not having their recognised halves pairing in the house.
Yeah, that's true. So, but he did exceptionally well. Without Abdul there, who's had a quiet season, I must admit. But no Abdul, no worries.
Yeah, Ryan Hall was one of the standouts because editorial powers, I'd like to say that a lot. 2 tries, 1 try assist, 112 running meters, and 6 tackle breaks in 18 minutes. And Frankie Holton, the Featherstone recruit, still continuing to impress. 1 try, the opening try of the match, 130 running meters, 2 tackle breaks, 32 tackles without a miss to his name.
Wow. That is unbelievable.
One of the top defenders in the Hull KR side at the moment, I have to say. He's probably missed only less than 10 tackles in 8 weeks of rugby league.
Possibly, but that's a really, really good stat to have no missed tackles from 32 tackles. That's good. That is brilliant work there from Frankie Holton.
Now, this game is going to be interesting. It's going to be Castleford's expansiveness versus Hull KR's grit.
That's going to be interesting there.
How do we see this one playing out? Because Hull KR have got home ground advantage, but Castleford have got the ball movement.
Yeah, it's a really 50-50 bet. Like, not 50-50 bet, but 50-50 way, because you don't know who's going to win. And Challenge Cup can throw up anything. So I'm actually going to lean towards Castleford to win narrowly.
And how would they do it?
Just try and shut down Ryan Hall, really, and keep the forward pack contained, really, and attack as best as they can and defend like they have defended well against to lose.
If Castleford are to win, I think they need to dominate the middle of the field. I think it's on Liam Watts and Kenny Edwards to cause as much disruption to the defensive line. If you can get Jordan Turner and Jake Marmon space, I think Castleford can cause some real damage. I agree. I think Castleford, in a high-scoring contest, I think they come out on top 1-6.
I'd say it will be high scoring, but yeah, like I said, Castleford 1-6. It's going to be a brilliant matchup.
Now, speaking of brilliant matchups, it's the second meeting of the 2021 Grand Final rematch. The Catalan Dragons hosting the reigning Cup champion St. Helens.
Yeah, what a juicy matchup this is, and it's only, a matter of weeks ago we only saw this.
Round 1. It was round 1 back in February we saw this, but
Well,
not what we expected. Good news for the Dragons. Mitchell Pearce and Jordan Desiree will be back in the side. And even speculation, Artyom Morg could be fit.
that will be a big inclusion for Catalans if Artyom Morg is fit, but where do you put him in the side? Do you bring him off the bench?
Piss Tyrone May off. That's
Okay.
all you can do. Piss Tyrone May off, bring Morg in, and you only play him for limited minutes off the interchange, but still, you build him up.
Yeah, true. And with a challenge cut tie, I know it's early. I know it's still a die, but you don't want to rush him into it because the Super League season is a lot longer season than what Challenge Cup is. So, but you could bring him in and that, but you got a risk of him being out again too.
I'll tell you what, it'll be a much improved Catalan Dragon side than the side we saw run out against the Huddersfield Giants, 28-12 losers.
Yeah, I don't know what the goal is with Catalan there against Huddersfield, which are a mid-table team.
At the moment, they're not mid-table.
Well, at the moment, but generally speaking, they are on average. They are, I feel like. But yeah, Steve McNamara will be scratching his head about that one.
Yeah, I definitely think he will be, but I think we can't minimise the fact that the Huddersfield Giants played rather well in this matchup right here. I mean, from start to finish, in complete control with Theo Farge and Tui Loahea pulling the strings on this. Of course, Farge came off the interchange, but really in control with it here. But I got to single out Josh Jones as the stand-up for the Giants. 1 try, 126 running meters, 6 tackle breaks, and an offload across 80 minutes.
Brilliant work there from Josh Jones. You read my mind about Theo Farge. Him coming back has definitely helped Huddersfield. I know, and like you said, he's come off the bench, but he's obviously getting eased back in there. Ian Watson's thinking long term, so maybe we could see him line up full time alongside Tui Loahea.
It was just soft defensive reads that let the Catalan Dragons down. The attack in spaces was there. The first try for Samisoni Langi, and then of course the pure brute strength for Tom Davis that saw him score his try over in the right hand corner. But errors and poor defensive reads cost Catalan. And Huddersfield capitalised off the back of that.
They certainly did. So basically what happened, in my view, is that Catalans were just off and couldn't get their mindset right for the game in the moment and that, and Huddersfield capitalised on it.
Well, they have to definitely step up for this one because the reigning champions await them on the other side of the field, and after a perfect 26-0 victory over the Leeds Rhinos.
It's the Leeds Rhinos that's been struggling all season long, so what would you expect?
But even then, Saints discipline. This is why they're sitting top of the table again on a 6-1 record. I was about to say 6-0, but we got to keep in mind they actually lost 2 to lose. But here again, just from the word go, 6 plays it took Saints to break down the Leeds Rhinos with a beautiful ball from the 500 game man James Roby to Conrad Hurrell. First tried Headingley since leaving the club.
I was going to say, come back to bite the Rhinos pretty hard, didn't it?
Yeah, just Jack Broadbent caught out of shape there. It didn't end well for him. And even when Leeds tried something Tommy Makinson exposed the left edge so hard, whether it was that spectacular dive in the corner or the 80-meter intercept try that he scored.
Yeah. And they're back to back too. There wasn't like another try scorer between his two tries. He was the one back to back. So
it was a second half collapse that cost us the Leeds Rhinos there. Tommy Makinson, 2 tries, 197 running meters, 1 tackle break, an offload. None from 2 goals to his name, but with Mark Percival taking over after that, not really an issue.
No. I mean, the scoreline could have been a lot worse for the Rhinos. So, yes, they'll be disappointed in the loss, but to only contain St. Helens to 26 points. I mean, it could have easily been 40 or more.
Christian Wolf will be boosted by the return of both Matty Lees and Alex Walmsley for this clash.
Oh, yes.
So to have that middle grunt in the engine room back there as well, with the only concern now Will Hopewadi, but with the way Harold's playing, you wouldn't really risk Hopewadi.
No, you would. You'll keep Harold in the side for as long as you can.
So here's the interesting prospect. Catalan, not the same side they were in round 1. St. Helens, still the same side they were round 1.
Pretty much. Catalans have improved since round 1, though.
Yeah, I did say that they weren't the same side, but
Yeah.
Saints still is.
Yeah. Minus, like, even if they had a lot of their key players there, they'd still be able to dominate quite well. So,
Here's the interesting thing.
who's going to win?
Yeah.
I know who I'm leaning towards. St. Helens 7-12.
Yeah? Alright. Your reasoning behind that?
Oh, the performance that Catalans put up against Huddersfield was not what I expected. I don't think a lot of us expected Huddersfield to win. But with the inclusion of, the speculation of Archie and Moore coming back, that would boost Catalans. But with the returns of what you mentioned to St. Helens, yeah, that's going to help them a lot more than what Archie and Moore will with Catalans.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the Saints as well on this one. I think with Walmsley and Lees back, that's a big 1-2 punch St. Helens now have at their advantage. Now, no doubt that the likes of Dudson, Napa, Bousquet, and Cassiano will be wanting to meet that challenge in the middle of the field head on. You just look at that side, 1-13 all over the park, and then the 4 men coming off the bench. It's just a well-oiled machine that just keeps on keeping on. If I was to try and shut Saints down, again, target Walmsley and no room for Lewis Dodd to move. But Johnny Lomax is the danger man as well. So if you can keep Lomax out of it off the back of Walmsley, then you're in with a chance. I don't think Catalan will be able to match the middle aggression of the Saints. I think Saints win 13+ again.
Well, there you go. Who knows what's going to happen? It could be a 7-12 or a 13+. You just have to wait and see what happens.
It heavily depends. Now, Huddersfield will be hosting Hull FC at the John Smith Stadium. We already touched on how well the Giants played against the Black and Whites. But how narrowly did Hull come towards winning?
Very, very narrow indeed. Which is a shame that it did come to a loss. But hey, you had to be in it to win, and that's exactly what happened here.
Yep, they went down to the Wigan Warriors, 19 points to 18. But this was a real grinding. We touched on this yesterday with the Titans of the West Tigers, how that was probably the most boring game of the year. This is what we should have got, where we actually saw some tries scored and some brilliant play go on. Yeah,
exactly. What did you say? You said that extremely well, and I agree. But it was just that last minute field goal. Well, that field goal just
last 5 minutes, that drop goal.
Minutes. And guessing that Hull FC would have had cracks, but obviously waved away as such. But no, but Hull FC shouldn't go away disappointed with that match.
I got to say, I was very impressed with the stand-in, stand-off Joe Lavadua.
Oh, mate, he had a ripper of a match.
He created Hull's best 2 opportunities. He's the first try by setting it up for Danny Houghton, the long-standing evergreen veteran, and not the Black and Whites, off the really Japani on a break there.
Yeah.
Of course, Jake Connor's tap on was important too. That helped set Swift up in the corner.
Yep.
But they just gave Jaifield again too much room to move, and he made them pay for it. And he was Wigan's standout out yet again. 2 tries, 159 running meters, and 7 tackle breaks.
Yeah. But Field's second try, I don't know how big that gap was, but it was big enough for him to slice through. It was, I reckon, it was the tiniest of all gaps, and they couldn't tackle him, and he just went hot knife through butter.
That's what it was. It was a hot knife through butter. And Jake Connor just didn't step up in defence on that one play. That was probably the most important play.
Exactly, and Jake Connor can do better than that.
I think, like Hull, he's inconsistent. He has his moments where he has these flashes of brilliance that make you wonder, wow, why is he not in the England side? And then there's other weeks where it's just like, oh, yeah, that's why he's not in the England side.
Yeah, he just needs to fix up his consistency. Once he gets his consistency going, then we might see him in the England side.
Because he's one of rugby league's great draw cards for the United Kingdom.
Definitely, yeah. He just needs to, like I said, work on his consistency. And then eventually he might work his way into the England side.
Harry Smith, how bloody good, or is it, he must be feeling at the moment, I should be saying. He comes in round 4 against Toulouse, match winner with the drop goal there.
Yes.
For a month later, to be asked to do the same thing again against Hull FC.
And he's done it. He must be full of absolute confidence right there. Good on him too. Stepping up to the big occasions and delivering 2 narrow victories for Warriors.
It's just remarkable that he can come in and still manage to get a drop goal away.
Yeah.
To secure the Wigan Warriors yet another 2 points.
Yep. Overall, the Wigan Warriors have been playing really, really good.
But focusing back on Huddersfield Hull, what are we looking at here?
I'm actually, as you say, narrow point losses don't. If you have a narrow loss, you tend to not go well the following week. Is that correct?
Mm.
So I reckon that's going to play into effect here, and I'm going to say Huddersfield are going to win this one in the 13+ margin just.
Of course, this is heavily dependent on whether Josh Reynolds comes back in or not, but Hull's spine is pretty much as settled as you can get it for the short term. Backline might be a bit of a different story, or he was still no Carlos Jumavave, but the Giants are really looking good at the moment, and that left edge, you're looking at Innes Senior, Ricky Latelli, Ollie Russell, I think, still, and Josh Jones. That's a left edge you don't want to contend with.
No.
And with Tui Loahea roaming around at the back, also got that kicking game, there's no chance. I think the Giants advanced to the semi-finals 7 points to 12.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, when I say 13+ for the Giants, I only just mean narrowly into it.
And finally, Wakefield Trinity against the Wigan Warriors.
Now, this will be a real test for Wakefield. And the performance they did against Salford
30 points to 24.
And then they beat the Warrington Wolves 2 weeks in a row. They're flying high, Trinity. So this will really test how well they're going against Wigan, who's also flying high.
Yeah, you did nail it right there. This is Wakefield's ultimate test at this stage in the campaign. Ultimately knocking Warrington out of the cup up tournament, as it were, coming from 12 points to 6 down, as well as knocking them out in their league fixture the week before that. This is the real test, and they shot out to a big, healthy halftime lead against Salford early on.
Who ended up coming back and left a bit too little too late, though.
Yeah, that was a bit concerning because Ken Seo and Dion Cross both had a crack at the line. Yeah. I think Seo actually got 2 tries, as did Reece Williams, so they really gave Wakefield a second half right here.
They certainly did, but the first half of Trinity was brilliant. They just needed to carry that on into the second half. which is what they will be working on to try and defeat Wigan and knock another heavyweight out of the Challenge Cup.
The game was only put beyond reasonable doubt by the time Jay Pitts finally found his way crashing over the eye-line from his edge position. That was probably Wakefield's saving grace in the second half because Salford were coming thick and fast.
They certainly were coming thick and fast. It's just unfortunate that they couldn't get there, but I agree. Jay Pitts' try was the one that kind of saved Trinity from defeat.
Tom Johnston was the stand-up performer, and the fact that he was brought off at half-time just to manage a potential back injury he suffered. How about these for his first half, his only game stats? 2 tries, 1 try assist, 160 running meters, 12 tackle breaks, and 4 line breaks. And that's only in 40 minutes of rugby league right here.
Imagine if he played the other 40 minutes, how many more tries he would have scored or how many more tackle breaks and meters he would have gotten.
Well, we can only speculate to this point, but it would have been an interesting prospect to see how well Tom Johnston is, because he is important to Wakefield's success.
Yeah,
he is by far and away their best player on the field, and he is their best try-scoring weapon they have in their arsenal.
Yeah, I have to agree with you right there. He's been one of the key players for Trinity this season. Is part of why they're going so well in the last few weeks.
It's going to be a very tight prospect that they have to deal with at this point in time. So, getting back to the Wigan Warriors. Only 2 losses all year long. How do they fare against the Super League juggernaut?
Well, I reckon they'll be slightly worried into heading this match. I know if I was part of the Wigan Warriors side and seen how well Trinity have been going, I would be quite worried. I know you got Jai Field there, but he can only do so much. So I would be very, very worried indeed if I was the Wigan Warriors.
It'll be also interesting to see how they shuffle their side around with Bevan French making his return via the interchange last time out. Does he start for Matt Pete's side? Does there be a bit of shuffling going on, or is he that impact player you want coming off the bench?
I'd say he's going to be that impact player when he comes off the bench because you have to leave Jai Field out there. You cannot have him off the bench.
Well, I mean,
although you could have Bevan French starting and then bring Jai Field in as impact player later on in the match.
Or you could have it both ways. But they've chosen John Bateman in the centres for the time being and Willie Iser on the edge. So, that's Matt Pete's call. That's completely up to him. I will give him that. If Wakefield are to cause an upset, they would need to have the game of their lives.
Oh, definitely they will. And being at home too with the home crowd support will definitely help that cause. If they are going to cause what I'm going to say could be a Challenge Cup upset of the year.
Well, penalties and errors will need to be a big thing. Jowett, 2 penalties. Between Mason Leo and Liam Hood, that's 2 penalties as well. So that's now up to 6, 7, 9 penalties they gave away. And probably just as many errors as well. They really need to tighten up their discipline if they're going to match the Wigan Warriors, because they could punish you from anywhere.
And at any time too. So once Wigan get the ball rolling, it's hard to stop the momentum. But with errors like that they produced against Salford, they'll need to tighten that up.
Priority number 1, though, and this is probably the biggest one to deal with. Do not, under any circumstances, give Jai Field any room to move. We've seen it. Round 2 against the Leeds Rhinos. What happens if he gets a bit of space? We saw it last week when he got into the clear to lock the game up for Hull and set up the match-winning situation. You give him room, he will put the foot down, and he will take off.
Yeah, you have hit the nail on the head right there. That is perfectly summarised. I could not summarise it any better.
Other than that, I'm heavily in favour of the cherry and whites here. I think the Wigan Warriors win this, and win this big. I think they had a couple of narrow escapes already they've had to contend with, but I think quarterfinal, that fever's already there. I think the Warriors put the foot down here.
Okay. Well, me liking upsets, I'm actually going to go with Wakefield Trinity.
You're going Wakefield.
In a 1-6 margin. It's going to be a high scoring match. And it's going to be a tight one.
So one that thinks
liking
it's a tight
Wakefield.
one.
This time, if you asked me the Challenge Cup last year with Wakefield winning, I would have said no way in the world. I would have easily picked Wigan. But this year, I'm actually going to change and say Wakefield to win and cause the massive upset of Challenge Cup of all time this season.
I don't think it'll be a grand upset, but the way you're trying to sell it, it'll still be an upset nevertheless. As if you're lucky enough to pull it off.
Yeah, it's a big if, and it's only a prediction, so sometimes they pay off, sometimes they don't.
Yeah, we'll see how that one pays off. Now, we're not doing a Betfred Championship spotlight this week because instead we decided a League One special spotlight. Of course, Cornwall RLFC, the latest kid on the block in the British Rugby League system, right in England's southeast. How would you rate their debut against the North Wales Crusaders, going down 62-22?
I have to say, to be having that, I know it's a massive defeat, but I can be a bit lenient and cut some slack there because it is their first game ever. But to score 22 points on your debut, that is mighty impressive.
I'm going to put this out there. North Wales, very good from the word go.
Oh, yeah.
I would have to say that left edge, especially with a Super League veteran like Patrick Arvan, they were causing all sorts of trouble for the Cornwall right edge defensively.
Yeah, have to agree with you right there. But they can only learn from what they do. You can't exactly replicate everything from training onto the field, and you don't know what to expect in your first ever game. So they'll learn as the season progresses on. Bit like Toulouse in the first year of the Super League. I can see some similar things happening.
Oh, no doubt about it. There were some moments, of course. Also, Cornwall all had a very good start to the second half. After being 34-6 down, made it a competitive scoreline. And thanks to tries from Matty Turton, Liam Whitten, Sam Snell, and I think Harry Aronson, or was he one of the first half try scorers?
I think it might have been a second half try scorer. But yeah, I know what. Which really got me thinking. Not me thinking, got me interested. It's like, could Cornwall win on their debut? But unfortunately, they didn't, and they just got demolished after that.
Well, they only were put together a couple of months ago after the whole Ottawa Aces experiment fell apart due to the ongoing restrictions, of course, that seemed to impact travel and that.
Yeah, that's true. But to have that performance in a team that was put together in about 2 months, that's impressive stuff.
Oh, I agree. And they're going to have a massive travelling advantage as well. I mean, England and Wales, that's to the north, that's not exactly good, but it's the home games that are going to get the Cornish population fired up.
Yeah.
This will be their longest road travel since London. Or, well, Toronto, I should actually say, when they were in League One.
Very true. Very true indeed.
They have not had to travel this far before, and now they're going to have to do it again.
So it could, like you said, it could be in favour of Cornwall. And quickly too.
It definitely could be the case. Ace, but I suppose we'll just have to wait and see how things play out. But as for North Wales, at least they're the only Welsh side playing better than the other one.
Yeah, fair enough.
And what I mean by the other one, I mean by the absolute disgrace that is the West Wales Raiders.
Yeah.
Talled up 82-12.
Oh.
That might be it. I'd seem like I'm exaggerating that. I'm not. That's literally how West Wales performs. One time they went down, I think, 104-0. I'm pretty sure that's a historical score as well. So go to the Rugby League project and try and see if you can bring that one up.
Wow. I mean, is there a League 2 or League 3?
There's probably fourth division below League 1, but that's just...
I was going to say, I think they might need to get relegated right down to the bottom and start all over again.
Yeah, this is what Welsh Rugby League is at after the whole Gateshead debacle and they collapsed.
Yeah. That is a poor. I don't know how to describe that massive
I wouldn't be a
loss.
Welsh Rugby League fan. I'd just be as simple as that.
Pretty much.
I'd be wanting to stay away. I mean, we bagged out Scotland. Well, personally, I've bagged out Scotland in the past. But at least they're not the Welsh.
No. Which is probably a good thing. Yeah. So what's the name of the team again?
The West Wales Raiders.
West Wales Raiders. Ah, here we go.
He's going to look this up. And he's going to...
Actually, no, I do believe you. Let me see. I just don't know where to go on this website.
Well, more generally, you could have just gone to Wikipedia. It would have... Not that people should be trusting it, but it's probably the information that's not going to get edited.
Yeah, here we go. I've found the scores. There's actually twice in 2018 when they're in third division when they lost 102-6.
There you go.
Back-to-back weeks. 130-0 in 2018, also in third division to York City Knights. 144-0 to York City Knights back in 2018 also. Yeah, that's just, yeah. So the biggest defeat is 144-0.
Domestically, Wales is not strong, and even on the international scene, even if you get Morgan Knowles and Regan Grace to declare eligibility, of course, Knowles has now declared he's playing for England.
Smart move.
But yeah, this is where the RFL needs to focus, as well as on trying to bring in new markets. Like they tried with Canada, it didn't work out, but to branch out from that M62 corridor that we mentioned last week with Derek Beaumont having a crack at the value of having Catalan and Toulouse in Super League.
Yeah.
And finally, a nice little bit of good news story featuring one Leeds Rhinos great, Rob Burrow, has received his MBE from Her Royal Princess Anne at Windsor Castle.
Congratulations to Rob Burrow. Thoroughly deserved.
For his services to rugby league and towards really raising awareness and campaigning for motor neurone disease. The royal family has granted him an MBE.
Well done to Rob Burrow. Absolutely 100% deserved. I don't know. He's done so much for not only rugby league, but like you said, campaigning for motor neurone disease, and he is thoroughly deserved. I couldn't think of anyone else better than Rob Burrow.
Yeah, I just find it is a remarkable, I should say, a remarkable accolade to have, to be crowned an MBE by a member of the royal family. But you know what? And I think I agree with most Leeds Rhinos fans on this. Kevin Sinfield to be granted a knighthood.
Okay.
For his services to charity in the campaign against motor neurone disease, as well as on top of his services to rugby league. Because remember, Sinfield played alongside Burrow for practically
The entire careers.
Well, yeah, exactly. They both came in at the same time in the early 2000s, maybe a little bit earlier on the 90s side. And up until 2015, they'd done everything. 7 grand finals in that time, from 2014 to 2015.
Wow. That is unbelievable.
7 grand finals in 11 years.
Yeah. No, but I'm going to jump on your bandwagon and say, let's hope that happens.
And to be able to run 7 marathons in 7 days.
Yeah.
And then I think he did like a 1,000 mile run or something equivalent to that, where he was practically running into Hayley busted for BBC Morning Breakfast, with Rob Burrow waiting at the finish line. Maybe it was 100 miles actually, just as I don't think he'd survive if he tried 1,000 miles.
Yeah, I'd say it might have been 100 miles, yeah.
But still, a monster effort from Kevin Sinfield.
Yeah. No, good on them, to the pair of them. Like, they've done so much for motor neurone disease and for the greatest game of all, that is rugby league.
Arguably the greatest game of all.
Coming from our perspective, this is a rugby league podcast, so we can say it's the greatest game of all.
We got editorial powers. We can say as we please.
Exactly.
Wait, within reason. Within reason.
Yes.
We don't want to be sued for defamation.
No.
Just ask a former politician about that.
Let's not go into politics.
I'm just saying. People might pick up on it, they might not. But if you're an Aussie and you live in New South Wales, you probably understand. Well, regardless of that, it is now full time from us for this week. If you enjoyed either this debrief or the NRL debrief that was on yesterday, don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and then click the bell for notifications so you never miss a week of rugby league action. Don't forget to give us a follow on social media on Facebook and on Instagram. It is Sideline Chat, and on Twitter it is Sideline Chat RL. Hope you enjoy all the rugby league that goes forward this week, and we'll be back right on top of the Easter weekend.
Yes.
What does Good Friday hold in store for the Bulldogs and the Rabbitohs? How bad will Hollis play against KR? And are Wigan going to get held trialless again on Good Friday? With the French derby on the horizon. We'll talk to you next week. Along with Mark Henry, I'm Connor Marcellus, and you have been listening to the Sideline Chat. See you next Wednesday.
See you later, folks.